Whoop, whoop. Here I come.
Oh.
Here I come.
Alright, so just had one of those long days at work, so I decided to just kind of calmly, peacefully have me a beer and a cigar and jump into pulling the head off. So that part I didn't film. There's plenty of videos on Cubs on that part. But obviously, this has never been rebuilt, ever. It does have an IH head gasket on it. You can see that some of the water passages are clogged. So obviously I'll clean those really good. I'm going to clean up these pistons, take a look and see. Most likely they're standard bore. I mean, it could have been, you know, 10, 20, something from the factory, but I'm going to confirm it. I may have a set of pop-up pistons on the shelf. I may stick in here. The valves, as you can see, have all kinds of stuff on them. So I'm going to end up ordering some new valves, new springs, new valve guides, because the valve guides could be also what's making this thing smoke. But you can see there's quite a bit built up in these combustion chambers. So obviously all this is going to get cleaned up really good. Again, you can see things are kind of clogged. So this thing definitely needed a rebuild. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean these pistons up on top, just a couple of them. See if I can find out what size they are. See if I have a set, and then I'll determine if I got to order them. Once I go ahead and figure that out, I'm going to go ahead and pull the exhaust manifold off because it's going to be easier getting into the area with the lifters with that off, so I can get the tappet cover off, because those little keepers, they can be a real pain, especially with that intake and all in there. Once I get all that figured out, we're going to go ahead and jack this thing up, get that front end off, get that front pulley off of there, and then yeah, I'll figure out what I have on the shelf, and we're going to start this rebuild. So let me clean this up and I'll be back. Okay, usually there's something on the piston, on the size. There's nothing. Usually it's an STD on there. But this does work out. 2 5/8. 2 5/8 is usually standard bore. So it is a standard bore. I gotta say the cylinder walls actually look really good in here. Ridge-wise, very minimal. None. Yeah, it's a very minimal ridge. Like, there's nothing. So, easy cylinders to clean up. So I don't have to bore this block out. But, I might have a set of standard pop-ups. I'm going to go take a look at my stock and see what I have. But, yeah, not too bad so far. And this is why I like stocking so many parts. Finally, those pistons that I ordered, those pop-ups, are standards. So they will actually work perfect in here to give a little extra power. So we are finally going to install these. And I do have rings. I have brakes. I have a gasket set. I have head gaskets. And I have seals. Is there anything I may have to order? Possibly. Depending on the rod bearings in here. So I got a set of standards. So I'm going to have to pull the pan and take a look and see if the rod bearings are good. It had good oil pressure and all, so, and it had no knocks, so I'm going to say the bearings are fine. So long as they're standard on this thing, I think I have everything I need to get rocking on this puppy. So, alright, well I guess I'll get that pan down, pop a piston out, and see what she looks like, and then finish pulling the exhaust manifold off. And yeah, it looks like we're going to be rebuilding this thing in no time. Alright, so I figured I showed this on the other Cub rebuild, but I figured I'd show it on this one too. So this tool right here is basically for a Model A engine. That right there, for compressing those valve springs, that's the easiest way on these Cubs to get inside there. So let me zoom this on in and show how this thing works. So obviously very small to work in. So you put this in, it ratchets up, it locks in place. Go ahead and tap your valve down. Use a little magnet. Once you get them loose, pull out your keepers. Now obviously they can get a little stuck in there from all the years. Yeah, that released on me. I only got it by an edge. So let me compress that back down. Push that back in. And raise that puppy back up. I got one keeper out. So now it's a little angle. There we go. Okay. Ratchet it up. Tap your valve down. Get your keepers out. Just like that. Alright. So yeah, this little tool right here works really nice for that. See if I can get some markings on here. Show you guys what this tool is. It's an oldie. See if I can zoom in there. There's the name of it. And the part number. So these little things right here. Here how it ratchets up, locks in place, and then release. So let me get this one out and I'll show you another one. And then I'm going to continue on because let's just say this is a little too hard to try to film this as I'm doing this. Alright, so that one's out. Let's go ahead and pop this spring out of here. Again, the Cub engines are really easy to work on. They're just really small. Really tight to get into. And there it is. And that's out. So I'm going to put that with this one. Like I said, even though it doesn't matter, I have all new valves for this thing. So let's go ahead and let's do this one over here. I think you guys should be able to see that. Okay, like that, ratchet it on up. Give your valve a tap down. And again, and the keepers stayed in there. They do that sometimes. Oh, drop out of there. You know what? I think I already took the keepers out of there. I think that's one of the first ones I did. Alright, I'm going to jump over to this one. There we go. So yes, that one's out. That's why that one's not coming out. So let me go ahead and pop that valve one up. Alright, I'll pull that spring out afterwards. Now obviously it's easier to make sure that your lifters are all the way down. Lock her in place. Make sure you're filming. Yep, you're seeing it. Tap it down. And again, getting there with the little magnet. And just like that. And then, my fingers are so dirty. Alright, and then release it, just like that, take her on out. And then, pop it up. Pretty much, that's the process. Very simple, very easy. Again, when it comes to spring compressors, this little thing right here makes it way easier on these little Cub engines. Trying to get inside there. Alright, I'm going to get back to it. I just wanted to show you guys that in the midst of doing this teardown. And I do have all the pistons out. And again, all the cylinder walls actually look pretty good inside this thing. And let me focus that back in. There's all the pistons right there. And then once I get these out, get these valves out, I'm going to check all the seats. I might re-clean the seats and then put the new valve in, and then we're going to lap them all like usual. All right, I'm going to get back to it. All right, so we're out here on night number 2. Could have done a lot more last night, but I'm not in a rush on this. Just going to have some fun with this. But I did take a little time to add a few extra lights. Let's just say, it's pretty bright in here. So I had the fluorescent lights in here. What I had, 369 of them. And, you know, just the old school, lights. But they started getting a little dingy. And I noticed, like, when I paint some of my body panels, stuff like that, I'm getting certain shadows. So I decided to add some LEDs out here. Whew, let's just say, those LEDs brighten it up. Here, let me spin this around. I'll kind of show you. Sorry, make sure I have my camera open. Yeah, let's just say I put on a few of these 8-footers. I put a couple 4-footers in between. 8-footer. And then up in here, did all my 8-foot around. I'll tell you one thing. Here, you know what? I'll show you the difference here. How am I going to do this? You know what? I got my table on over there. Here's what we're going to do. I am going to shut it down. Alright. And it's dark in here. But except for I got that light on. Alright, here's the old lights. Okay. Not awful. Not very bright. Alright. Let's go over and flip on. I know this is not part of the tractor video, but I thought it was funny. My wife walks out here. She's like, oh my lord, it's so bright out here. And then the difference those LEDs make. And I'll tell you one thing, those LEDs burn a lot less electricity than those old ballast ceiling lights. It doesn't help the fact of they're all dirty now, but yeah, it was time to. You can't even tell the difference when you turn those on or off anymore. Anyway, let's get back to this damn tractor. So last night, I showed a video using the Model A style valve spring compressor. And like I said, that works very well to go inside there, open up, and get all that out. My biggest thing last night was cleaning out some of these ports. They were bad. Let's just say the exhaust ports actually were so small, I could barely get my pinky inside of them. So I got all the carbon out of all these, got them all cleaned up. I'm still going to go in there a little bit more, but I'm not going to bother until after I go ahead and cut the new seats. They're actually all not that bad. They're actually not really beat up that bad. So this will actually be a very easy one to clean these seats up. Once I get these cleaned up, let me back up. We're going to press out the valve guides first. Get those out, and press the new ones in. Then we're going to go ahead and cut the new seats. The reason I do that is because when you put that guide rod in here for the cutter, you want it to be set to what's going to be in there, not set to what is in there now, and it's going to get replaced. So the best step is replace those first, then cut your seats, then put your valves in, then lap them, and keep each valve that you lapped to that cylinder. Once we get that done, I'm going to jump over here. We're going to go ahead and do a straight wall hone and then a dingleberry hone, get the cylinders cleaned up. And then I'm going to go ahead and I got some of the scale, some of the junk out of the passages for the coolant. Actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I did pull out, it almost looked like a nail that was floating around there. I did fish that out. So, it's funny, some of the things you'll actually find in there sometimes. But anyway, so I got everything pretty much cleaned up where I wanted it. Once I get the cylinders done, I'm going to go down, put a little tension on the crank. I might put like 1,000, 1,200 grit, something on there. And I might just give each journal just a little quick cleaning. After that, spray everything out, get all the junk out, make sure there's no lapping compound, no metal shavings, no anything left in there. Flush it, and then we're ready to start assembling. Once I get this thing assembled, Get the head cleaned up, get the head back on it. Then we're going to do the front seal next. And then once we get it back running again, then we're going to jump right to the brakes. So it should be pretty fun. What was I going to tell you guys? Yeah, so whenever I do the top of the decks, just to kind of check them for true, I know it's not machine shop worthy, I guess you could say, I don't know. But let's just say, once I clean the deck up, I usually like to take a nice big flat file, and I'll lay it down flat, and then I'll try to real easily, don't go by the pattern I'm giving you right now. Usually I'll try to go across there real easy, kind of like this in a sense, and kind of check highs, lows, like just a rough check, just to see if it's semi-straight. And then it helps get all the crap off, you know, the water jackets, any carbon built up, anything around the top of the pistons. It gets all that cleaned up, so at least that way when you put that new head gasket down on top of there, it has a nice flat surface to go to. And I'm going to do the same thing to the head and check that for true once I get that thing cleaned up. I did find on eBay last night, Steiner actually had a out-of-the-box stainless steel muffler for this. It was about 149, something like that, 169, something like that, no. And then shipping. It was just an out-of-the-box one that they had on eBay. I did an offer on it. Let's just say I tried to do a lowball offer. Hey, it says make an offer, so I made an offer. It's just not the offer they wanted. I did offer, I don't know, I think like $70, and of course it was declined. Anyway, long story short, I got it for $90. With shipping, it was like $98. I mean, $98 first. I got stainless mufflers on everything else, and why not put it on here? And I'm going to pop a picture right now. Did you see that picture? Almost $500 for a stack. Are people getting insane? Yeah, I had to just at least take a picture of that when I saw that on eBay. It's like, I'm sorry, with some of the prices I've been seeing with some of these tractors lately on Marketplace, somebody had like a Cub on there, right out of the field, nothing special done to it, $6,000. Come on, people. Get a little nuts now. But yeah, $500 for a muffler, I don't think so. I mean, it's bad enough that 450 diesel, you know, some of the prices for engine rebuild kits, gasket sets for that thing, bearings if you can find them. Oh my God, it's so expensive. But it's something that's a little more rare, so it makes kind of sense. But stainless steel stack that fits a Cub, $500. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's get on driving out these valve guides and get ready to start pressing in new ones. Alright, so just like before, my preferred method of choice to get these out. First, I want to spray them with some PB, just so that way when I start pressing them down, apparently I'm almost out of PB, because I got to crack a new can open soon. I like to spray these out, let them sit for a sec, and then 5/16 bolt, round the head off, dimple it with a bit, and then we're going to drop this in, and then hit it with an air hammer with a point, drive this down, and drive those right on out. That's how we're going to do it. Give us a few seconds to soak, and we'll get to it. Alright, I changed my bolts, 5/16, but I went with a short one. Total brain fart. Last time when I did this, I didn't have a cam or lifters in there. Now the compressor kicks on. Alright, just had to give a minute for that to shut off. Now normally for my air hammer, I don't like to use the one with the extreme point. I have one around here somewhere that's a little more blunt. I can't find it for the life of me. So I'm going to have to use this one. Sometimes this one pierces right through bolts. But anyway, 5/16 or shorty. Alright, so let's take let's take this one for example. Let me go ahead and drop that on in there. Completely the wrong way. Do it this way. Make it a lot easier. Push it down in the hole. Okay. And then ever so slightly, and slowly, right in the middle. Make sure you stay to the center because you don't want to go marring those walls up. That should be just about there. And let me get the camshaft down. Or should I say the lobe down? Right there. Just like that. Pulls it out. No fuss, no anything. Perfect. Even though these are going to be trash. But it pulls everything out super, super easy. So if you want to get your valve guides out on a Cub the easy way, do it this way. Drop it in. We'll do another one. And again, less point. If you have one that's a little bit more blunt, it's way better for doing this job. Make sure that is down, and it is. Obviously, go slow. You don't want to go cramming the thing down on top of your camshaft and going screwing something up. And there it is. Like I said, that's the easy way to do it. And I've had I think I only had one person say, I thought you're supposed to drive these, you know, out bottom up, top down. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference. These right here are perfectly straight and flat. There's no taper. There's no anything to this whatsoever. You can drive this straight out to the bottom. You don't have to pull these up. And then when you drive the new ones in, put the new ones in the freezer, clean out the holes that they're going to go into, one at a time, drive these down until this is flush with the block. Very simple. It's really not rocket science on these engines. It's a super easy process, actually. All right, and again, make sure the lifters are down and this one is up. The reason I'm saying is because you don't have, let's just say the clearance is pretty much it once you touch down to that lifter, which is why I take this down slow. Obviously, I could push this trigger on this puppy and just, I could blow this right through with no effort whatsoever. I got this actually from Harbor Freight. Damn, this thing works good. I've used it for ball joints and everything. This is a strong gun. So let's just say I'm feathering the trigger because I don't want to go ramming it down on top of that, you know, lifter. See, once I really hit it, oh yeah, she goes. And then plus two, I don't want this jumping off, and I don't want it to run it down and gouge the walls. But you can pretty much feel as soon as she pops, and it's out. Doesn't take much effort. I'm just curious if I can bring that up through there. And I can, and I don't think I got this one all the way down. Or somebody has this thing adjusted way up. There we go. It was just up just ever so slightly. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish pulling. You know what? Why not? I'll just hit fast forward and let's just go ahead and drive these out and get this done. Let me set these on the table. Now, I'm going to end up hitting the camera, so I do have to move back for this. Actually, you know what I can do? Here, let's do this. Hang on, I'm going to change the angle. There we go. You saw it from the top side. Let's show the angle from the bottom side. Why not, right? Now, this air hose is going to continuously hit this stand, of course, because it's there. So let's try to do that so that way it stops hitting it. Alright, so we're bringing this one out right there. Make sure, and it's down all the way, so we're good. And there she is. Again, super simple. Just use yourself a bolt. Let's change this perspective just one more time. Yeah, let me put this down. There we go. All right, we're going for this one now, right here. And are we down? And we are down. That one came out like with absolutely scarily no effort. That like pretty much pushed itself out. And again, there you go. All right, 2 more. And we're down. Honestly, you can pretty much hear once it touches down. You can hear that little tap. And then you know you're down all the way. And I didn't check that one. And it's down. Okay. Alright, they're all out. See how quick and easy that was? Didn't have to do pullers and all that goofy stuff. Done. Alright, let me set these on the table and I'll show you down the side there. After I clean my hands up, of course, because I'm not trying to grab my camera with this much stuff all over my hands. Well, yeah, I can just turn it that way. You guys can see it pretty good. Alright, let me just pop you out of the stand. Alright, now shine the light down from underneath. See? Damage free. You see how quick that was getting out of there? Very easy. Okay, now that I got that done, I'm going to go ahead and get these valve guides. I think I put them in the freezer already. I can't remember. I think I put them in last night. I'm going to see if they're cold enough. They should be if I put them in last night. And let's go ahead and press these things in. Actually, let me note one thing I do want to do. And I always do this just to make sure. I'm just going to go ahead and run. Oh my god, total brain fart. My wire wheel, my hand one, just inside there a little bit, just to make sure there's no carbon or anything built up around the top of this hole that I may have missed. And that way, I know for sure these new ones will pretty much fall right in place. Okay, and that's all I use for that. Spray them out. Now when it comes to putting the new ones in, it's totally your call. You can use oil, you can use WD-40, you can use assembly lube. It really doesn't matter what you use. Just use something when it comes to putting these back in. It just makes them drive home a lot easier, because we are going to be driving these in from the top down by hand, no air hammers, because we want to get these in just right. So yeah, just clean these out really good, make sure everything's good. Yeah, see, this engine actually cleaned up pretty damn good. I did actually get a chuckle when I put a picture up on Facebook about starting on the Cub engine, you know, and I said how it's like a toy after working on the 450s and all. But somebody was like, oh, for that Cub engine, you're going to need tweezers, you're going to need this, you're going to need that, all this different stuff. It's like, I don't know. I try to be nice about it. Didn't want to say anything crappy, but it's like, this isn't my first engine that I've rebuilt. So, but anyway, I mean, you know, a lot of people don't know, so it is what it is. Can't get mad at everything. But yeah, it's just funny. Somebody thought like this is basically, I guess, my first engine rebuild. Nah, far from it. Shit, I think I built my first engine. It was a Chevy 350. I built that first engine when I was 15. That's the first time I did my own pistons and rings and bearings and assembled it, and that was actually pretty cool because when I did that, I was around 15. I think I actually sold it just before I was 16 because I bought my first truck at 15. It was a 1970 Chevy stepside, 6-cylinder, 3-speed on the column, all manual. I love that truck. But I built that motor for that, but I ended up going a different route with that engine actually in that truck. And yeah, the guy who bought that engine from me put it in like a 74 Camaro, I believe it was. He actually came by my house, and with it still running in his car, I guess I was probably 20 when he stopped by. So my first engine at 15 was still in the man's car from the day he bought it from me. Yeah, so I think I was probably 19, 20 when he stopped by. So that was pretty cool. So I kind of knew from then, I kind of had a slight knack for engine building. All right, let me get these valve guides. Now when you do buy these valve train kits, obviously, they do come with guides. Because you want to get new guides, you want to get new keepers, new springs, and of course new valves. You want all of it. Don't go putting valves in with your old guides. I've noticed a lot of people make that mistake, and that's a big no-no. Valve guides will cause your engine to smoke. It will cause compression loss. There's a lot of things your valve guides can actually cause. So yes, make sure you replace these. So when we drive these down into the block, we just want that area flush. And these should go pretty much right in with no issue whatsoever. Usually they do. I got these from Hamilton Cubs. I've actually ordered quite a bit of parts for Cubs from them, and I have to say they're a pretty good company to deal with. They always get stuff out so quick, and they're thorough. Even if you buy something from them on eBay, they're so quick on like if they will actually message you, or if not call you, just to verify that you ordered the right thing. If there's something they need to ask you a question, they will ask you before they just send you. It's actually pretty cool, that company. All right, let me go get my tool for driving these in, and let's get this done. All right, so when you do the other engines, 450s, stuff like that, the tops of your valve guides actually have a slight convex to them. So the Cubs don't. The Cubs are flat. So you can actually use something like this, drive it in there, and you can drive these down, no problem at all. Just make sure you have like a washer or something on there, so that way you keep the top of this nice and true when you hammer that down. But now when you do the 450s and stuff like that, you need these. See how they actually have that concave to them? So when I actually do the when I do the valve guides on those, I have two of them on here because I have an extra. I'll put it like this, drive it down on top, and then drive them into the head that way. And that way it doesn't mushroom and screw up the tops. These are actually crush washers off a barrel for guns, AR-15, stuff like that. These are crush washers, and they work extremely well, and they have the proper angle for valve guides, not for Cubs. Again, 450s stuff. All right, let me grab the bolt washer I just dropped. All right, let me get this out of the way. Now I did make a tool for some other valve guides and stuff like that. I put this on my lathe, cut this down, and made this so that way it fits inside. I haven't made one for the Cub yet. I guess eventually I should turn one down and actually make one. But yeah, I made this for driving valve guides in on Cubs. Actually, this is for the A when I made this. So, easy. Alright, let's get to it. I am going to use, I like using Tap Magic. It seems like it always works good for lubricating this stuff up. So I'm going to put a little bit around each one. Don't take much, just enough to make sure you got a coating inside there. Get the hammer out of the way. Make sure it's around everything. Again, if your pinky, my pinky just barely fits in there, but if you can't get your pinky in there, just use like a Q-tip or something like that and just wipe that around. Alright, let me sit the top of the lid right there. Spur washer. Drop it on the floor again. Alright, so you're going to take these. We'll start with this one. Line it up like that. Put this in. Give it a tap. Nice and slow until it goes in straight. Alright, don't want to beat it in. And then it should pretty much line itself right up. Pull it out. Obviously, I know I'm not down far enough, but I'm just pulling it out just to show you. See? It's in nice and straight so far. You can use a shorter bolt if you wanted to. Anything that sucks sometimes about using a long one, they have a tendency of bending. And I think this one is. I've used this one on quite a few so far. So let's just say she's starting to get a little funky. Almost in. I think the bolt's actually bending. Don't take much to drive them in. I think I might try to find one fat washer instead of these two. A little bit more. Yeah, I need to go get another bolt. It's almost in. It's actually like very close. I think about a 1/16 more and we're good. Except for the fact that she's bending and it's giving away the strength. Let me go get another one. Okay, got a new one. I think it's just giving another tap or two and we should be good. Check that. Just a hair more. Now I'm trying to be careful. I don't want to come up and smack the phone, so. And again, I'm not in a race to see how fast I can get this in there, so I don't mind if I got to check it a couple times. That is perfect. That is right where I want it. Alright. Do that to the rest of them. I'll go ahead and I'll do this one while I'm filming it, and then I'm going to go ahead and knock these out. Now another thing, like I said, I just want to make sure I emphasize is be super careful this doesn't raise up. Don't bang it on an angle. Make sure this thing is in and straight down. Really? Of course, it always has a turn on. Well, I turn it off because I don't need it. But anyway, make sure it's straight down because you don't want to have... Honestly, if you were able to mill something down where you didn't have threads on it, that's the best way to do it. But since you're driving this straight down, as long as you don't drive it on an angle and you don't go putting any gouges inside your guide, as long as you don't go hitting on the edge and breaking any of the top edges off, as long as you don't go beating it with, say, just a bolt, because it can end up mushrooming this edge, you'll be just fine. Don't rush it. Just go ahead and do it like that. Put it on. If your washer is a little bigger on the surface, that doesn't matter when it comes to driving them in. If anything, it'll act as a stop. When it comes to driving them out, you want to make sure your washer is the same diameter. Don't make it any bigger, because then what you're going to do is the washer's going to go down and it's going to start bending as it's going down in, and it could get lodged and you're going to give yourself a headache, trust me. Not that I've done it, But let's just say I can foresee it being done. So again, get it in. Let me move this out of the way. Very light taps, just until you feel it. Get itself true on the hole. See, I'm not hitting it very hard. Little short hammer. Just once you get it in, valve guide. It will guide itself in the hole. Don't go beating it in on an angle. All right. And yes, a shorter bolt does work better for this than the long one. Not sure why I used the long one on the last one, but it's all good. Pretty close. And as you can tell, see, it doesn't take long. It's nice and enjoyable. I think that's actually it. Yep, that's pretty much it right there. We're good. Same as the other one. That's it. That's all there is to it. We'll do that to the rest of them, and that part's done. And then we'll start getting the cutter heads ready. Okay, so I've talked about my valve cutting set on some previous videos, so I don't really think I need to talk about it again. But for the Cubs, so you have a guide rod that goes inside here. I actually had to make one out of a bolt because I needed a shorter one. The ones that come with a kit, just hypothetical, are about yay long. Can't go down inside because it hits the lifters down inside there. So I made a shorter one. But to check your cutting heads, the sizes you need. Now, unfortunately, my kit, I don't have a cutting head small enough for the intake. Sorry, the exhaust. But anyway, usually what you're supposed to do to check these, you take your valve, you put it to the back side, and you want the circumference of the outside of the valve about the outside of the head. So you can see that one, see, it's a little bigger. 45 degree. All right, that's what we're going to put back on here because that's what was originally in here. I don't know if I can see the mark to show you. All right, you can kind of see 45 degree. That's what we use for these. Now, when it comes to the intake, see, we have the right size for that. See how that's perfect going around. That's really what you want. You know, eventually at some point maybe I should check to see if I can find one that's a little smaller. But this worked on all the ones I've done, so. And again, I'm not cutting deep. I'm just kind of retracing the heads. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up. Just show you a couple. And then, again, I'm going to kind of go to town on getting this thing knocked out. I'm going to put these over here so they don't go falling. Just because I've already shown this already. So we're going to go ahead and put the cutter head on. And this is for the intake. Put that one over there for now. Put your guide rod in. This is why I said it's very important to make sure you do new valve guides before you do this, because you want the new valve guides riding inside of here. Now I am going to use Tap Magic again for running this, especially for the cutting. I think it works a little better. And then that will go in here like that. And then we're going to go ahead and vary ever so slightly, do our cuts. And again, you want to make sure when it goes in there, it's pretty straight, pretty true. As you can see, this one here, it goes in. It gives me a cut where it doesn't touch this outside. And again, we're only going ever so slightly, cutting that edge. So that one will be just fine. Let me go ahead and put a little bit of cutting oil in here. And again, this one I'm lucky. I don't really have to do a lot. I just have to clean it up. But I want to try to do it and not have that chatter. See? So we're going to, nice and slow, just to freshen that seat up. Doesn't take a lot. See, now unfortunately, since I let it chatter in the beginning, I got to do a little extra lapping if I can't get that out. But see how sharp that is already? Again, it doesn't take much. You probably can't see that, so let me... Alright, so now you can kind of see. So it goes from slate round. Again, the valves weren't bad, at least to start with, but you can see it goes from slate round to a nicer edge. So that way, if I can find the valve, we want that contact point when we check this. We want that contact point to kind of be in this area, in the middle. We don't want it down here, because then you're not deep enough. You don't want it all up here, because then you went too deep. So you want to keep that sweet spot right in that middle. So that's what we're going for. Let me see if I can reposition this. Put a little bit more on here. Now this isn't like a top-notch, high-end cutting set right here. This is just a $100-some set. Nothing special, but it does the trick. See, I don't want that. So we're going to go nice and slow. And I think that actually may be pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and drop that valve in, take a look. Now, the easiest way to check this when you do this is once you put that valve grinding compound on there and you start giving you spins and you bring it out and then look at the areas. That's going to be your easiest way to tell. But yeah, we should be pretty good. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get these intakes cut real fast and then be back. And it's another beautiful day. Alright, so what we're going to do, I'm not going to do all these in the video. I'm just going to go ahead and do, I don't know, maybe I'll just do the second one for you guys. Again, you've seen this in my other videos, so I'm not going to do this all over again. But I did lap this one right here last night, first run. And as you can see, there's that perfect line I was telling you about. So that's actually a very nice lap. Now, if I would have went any deeper with that seat, cutting it, sorry, I got a reflection here. It could push it up into this area here. You don't want it in this area. You want to keep that line right in between here. You don't want to go too far down. You don't want to go too far up. So that right there is good. And like I said, all that cleaned up really nice. It's a nice sharp edge to it. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to do the double-sided tape. We're just going to stick it on here, push it down, do the quick lap on this valve once you see these two right here done. And then I'm going to continue on, knock the rest of these out, and then go from there. So let me get set up in the stand again. Now I was going to do the hot glue, but I'm like, you know what? I've always done this, and this always seemed to work just fine. So I'm just going to stick with this method. Now I like this double-sided tape. Let's just say sometimes it can be a real pain in the butt tearing off the outer sheathing. So hopefully it doesn't give me a fit. I don't have any fingernails to get in there. And here we go, you guys are going to watch a 5-minute video of me fighting with double-sided tape. Yeah, let me just grab a X-Acto. So yeah, X-Acto works much better. Stuff's always a pain to get off of there. Alright, so now I do have lapping compound under the valve. You only want to do enough to coat the edge of the valve. Don't let it drop and get on your stem, and don't let it go down inside your valve guide. Because when you're lapping this, you don't want to lap inside your valve guides. That's going to be counterproductive from what you just did. So, stick that on there. You just push down. Now to hold that in place, I'm going to drop this valve in the hold so I don't lose its position. And this valve last night, that was sticking a little bit. Oddly enough, it was just a little burr around the stem. But I switched these two, just flipped them, and now this one drops right in like it's nothing. So, don't know what that was about, but easy fix. And again, it's basically like starting a fire, caveman days. You want to listen to the sound. Now, as long as your double-sided tape holds or your suction cup holds, you can push down on this. The lapping doesn't matter if you push down, put a little extra force on it. Just the more force you put, you can knock your suction cup off. But you're not going to hurt anything by pushing down on it. Now, there's multiple ways you can do this. If you have conventional head where you can put a drill on the stem and spin the stem, I don't like that method. I think that's a bad idea. I think that can mess up your stem. But a lot of people have done it and they've had success. So if you feel comfortable doing it, do it. I just like doing the old school method. You can buy the suction cups with the drill. Put the drill down there and hit it, and you can spin and do the lapping. I'd still recommend going backwards and forward to get a good seat on it. Sometimes when you spin them with the drill, spin so fast, suction cups pop off repeatedly. Out of all the ones I've honestly tried, double-sided tape and just the old school just always seems to work. Alright, let's see what this valve looks like. Now sometimes after you pull it out and you get the goo all over your end here, it'll not stick as well anymore. And so far, if it'll focus in, it's starting to turn out to be a very nice line inside there again. I'm going to go a little bit more because I want to get some of these contact points in the center of this a little bit more uniform. It's a high and low pattern. It's pretty good. Because you also got to remember, these things have been beat for years with those valves going up and down, beating these seats. So you're going to get it closer to this edge than this edge because it's not a brand new seat. That's why I said when you do the actual cutting, be careful on how much you cut. Don't cut too deep because it's very easily you can get too far up into this edge right here, and you get into that edge and unscrew yourself up. So again, very, very gentle and easy and small cutting. And again, this is why I say do it by hand, not by a tool, because you want to feel for how much you're taking out, and you only want to take a little bit. I know I've probably said that multiple times, but I just can't seem to emphasize enough. You don't want to screw it up and screw yourself up. Oh yeah, by the way guys, do me a favor. Your friends, your family, whoever, your pastors, anybody out there. I have 100 more subscribers to go to get to 5,000. It's not going to do anything for me, but it's just a point of, come on, get your people to subscribe to me on YouTube. Get me up to the 5,000 mark. I think, I don't know, I think it'll just be cool. Sadly, I'm at like 6,500 on Facebook. Come on, guys. I'm higher on Facebook than YouTube. What's up with that? So, if you guys want to go over to my Instagram or my Facebook, and just help me give me some numbers. It's much, much, much appreciated. But YouTube, come on, get me up to 5,000. Yeah, I know. Not like I'm a big roller or anything, but it's just that personal goal would be cool to get to it. And all you guys who have subscribed and have followed me, pretty much since day one, I am extremely thankful for all your support. I really am. Been a few times I was ready to kind of throw in the towel on doing videos. Only because of the fact of it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. And I don't get to listen to my favorite music when I'm out here working on my tractors, because YouTube copyrights music all the time, which is why we got to put that cheesy music in with our videos. Some of the music apps they have, the music's just crappy. So anytime you hear really good music on people's YouTube, they're not getting monetized because it copyrights them. So just in case you didn't know. Oh, and another FYI, when you do your valves, make sure your lifters are down all the way. You don't want your lifters up a little bit, because then you won't get a good contact point. Make sure your lifter's down. See, like this one right here, this one. See how it's up? Because the lifter's up. So, I know it's stupid. Just look in there and make sure your lobes are at its lowest point, and then lap your valves. That's not for your experience, guys. That's for the guys who are just starting out and the kids who are starting out. Alright, that should be actually pretty good. I'm thankful that these valves actually weren't that bad in this engine. Yeah, color-wise, that's actually looking real good. And yep, I'm going to say this valve is done. This thing all sounds pretty good. Now, also, symptoms of valve seats and stuff like that being bad, you'll get popping and stuff like that here and there out of your engine. If you have a bad valve seat, if you have cracks, stuff escaping out of it, you'll get that, you know, mild like backfire and a popping sound and a boom, 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 boom as it's running. That's usually this. I mean, it could be multiple things, but this is one of them. So that's why I stress the importance of doing your valve job and doing it slow and calm and getting it done right. There you go. See, it's nice line. It's very uniform all the way. And again, and see how good that tape holds? See, you get that tape, you clean your valve and you clean that, put a double-sided tape on there, it holds. This is just a Gorilla double-sided tape, nothing special. Let me grab it and I'll just show you what I use. This is all I use. Just a clear, extra strong, double-sided tape. I take and cut it in little strips, stick it on there, and it seems like this is always held. The backing is a real pain in the rear to get off, but the tape itself sticks really good. And it stops you from having to constantly reset the suction cup, reset the suction, reset. It's very monotonous when you got to constantly do that. So, all right, I'm going to get to the rest of these valves. So at least I gave you a little insight on how to do them. Very simple. Once I get these done, we're going to jump to the cylinders. We're going to get these cylinders knocked out. Like I said, I'm just going to clean the crank up a little bit. I didn't see any transfer or anything, but I just like to make sure she's just perfect. And then spray the engine out. Get all the goop out of there. We can put everything, start putting pistons and rings and all that stuff together and put them in. Once I get this all done and buttoned up, front end's coming off. I know I pretty much am sure that I said it before. I'm just saying it again. So let me get to it. All right, all the valves are done. Now we're going to go ahead and run the straight wall. I have a rag down on top of the crank journal. Got the journal all the way down. Now I'm going to go ahead and shoot this with some oil. You're going to, I got this on the loosest setting because of these cylinders being so small. You want to close this up. Push it in real easy. We only want to go down till about here, and we're going to run this just a few times. Squeeze that and pull it out. You don't want to just slide it out because then you'll make a dig in the wall. And that's not taking much. It's actually cleaned up pretty good. Now, from what I see and feel, I can adjust this pressure just a little bit. If you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to give it a little bit more pressure. So about there. Shoot with some more oil. Squeeze it in, push it back in again, and run it. Oop, okay, I let it come out too far. I'd rather come out too far at the top than have it spit at the bottom. You don't want it to go down and catch that journal. Push that rag back down a little bit. As long as it's spinning when it comes up, it's not so bad. The only thing it'll do is mess your stones up, so you just gotta be careful. And those walls are cleaned up really nice. They're really true. No digs at all. That one I think is actually good. Again, it doesn't take much to give it a crosshatch. And like I said, keep your oil flowing, go real slow. Now, usually once I do that, let me set my drill back it out. I'm going to sit this down real easy on the side. Now I'm going to run the dingleberry hone up and down through there. I like to do this afterwards because, okay, so I do the straight wall first because if you have any imperfections in that cylinder and any ridge at the top, the straight wall is going to basically true that. Once you're done, you run the dingleberry, it really helps give it a beautiful crosshatch. You don't have to do both. I do. I like doing both. I've always had good results with it. I just stick with it. And that's pretty much all you have to do. I'm going to shoot this out with some brake clean. And take a look at it. And that's actually looking really good. Obviously I can't get my hand all the way down inside the cylinder, it's kind of small. No ridge. Take a look at the walls. And those walls look beautiful. Good Lord, those things are gorgeous. Alright, let me bring you in for a closer look. I'll show you that. And then I'm going to go ahead and knock the other ones out. Now it's got a, from this side here, just a little. No, actually no, it really doesn't. I thought it had a little bit of ridge, but never mind. All right, let me show you. See how clean those walls come out? So it don't take much if you have a nice clean cylinder wall. It doesn't have a lot of digs in it. Obviously, I got dirt in there, but those walls are nice. So you don't want that. You want that. That'll give a real nice surface to put your new rings against. Don't want to go a long time with those straight wall hones because you don't want to go taking out too much material and open it up too much because it'll open your ring gap up just a little too much. It'll take an awful lot to really get to that point, but I'm just letting you know, do it at slow increments like that. Keep taking a look at it, look at your walls, see if you see any imperfections or anything you got to fix, and just do it very slowly. Do that to all the cylinders and you will be golden. All right, let me get these other ones knocked out. So I was kicking around if I wanted to film this or not, because I did do this on the 300. But if you want to clean the journals up, I got a piece of 2000 grit cut in 3/4 strips around the journal and a piece of tape going across there. Light oil on there. Wrap a belt around it and then just give it a real easy pull like that. And that way it completely wraps around the journal and it actually will give you a really nice sanding on the journals just to make sure they're all cleaned up. Don't have to put a ton of pressure, just put enough to make sure it cuts. But 2000 grit is more of a polish than a sand because I'm really just polishing the journals. I'll jump this over in a second and I'll show you one of the ones that's done after I run this one just a couple more rounds. Now this just helps if you have a bearing that wore, and if you have just a little bit of transfer it'll actually help take care of that. Let me get my flashlight. You know what? Let me flip this camera. Okay. So that one right there, you can kind of see it. See how nice and polished it is? That's 2000 grit with a piece of tape and sandpaper. And as you see, they're not bad. That's not cleaned up yet. I didn't brake clean that one yet. And I didn't brake clean that. That's literally peeling the sandpaper off and going from there. But you can see it's got a real nice shine to it. And that's basically all you got to do. Just wrap yourself an old belt around there. Even pressure. Give it a couple times, and then you should be good to go.